So the next thing you're going to want to do is go meet him and get a contract, isn't it? Not yet. You got one more question to ask him. Don't you want to make sure they're going to be at closing with the money? So what are you going to ask them? Do you have the money? No. Because they'll lie to you anyway. What are you going to ask them? When do you want to close? Well, that's going to give me the answer I need. If the answer is as soon as possible, have I found my buyer? Yeah. If the answer is, no, I need 30 to 60 days to jerk you around and try to wholesale your house, you have not found your buyer. Folks, if they can't close in 10 days, they can't close. Now, some of them will need to go out and get private money, and they might need 15 days. That's okay. I can wait on them to go get a private loan from a mortgage broker that's local, as long as, if they tell me that's what they're going to do. And if they communicate with me along the way, and especially if I happen to know the mortgage broker and know that it's real. I don't mind waiting a half a month if I have to, but I'm going to get a $500 deposit. And Ron was telling me that he's getting $2,000 deposits. It'd be a snowball chance in hell getting $2,000 deposit out of me. On the other hand, he don't have to sell me the house either, does he? On the other hand, I don't have to buy it either, do I? That's the attitude you're going to get after a while. If you're out there making things happen and finding great deals, you don't have to take no crap off anybody. My way or the highway. And that's exactly what he has the right to tell me if I don't want to give him his $2,000 deposit. On the other hand, I have the right to tell him I'm not interested and I won't give up $2,000. If I did, I'd put it in somebody else's escrow account. And so should you. Don't you ever give an investor a $2,000 deposit. Never. If you do, you put it in title company's escrow account with an agreement as to when it should be released. In fact, I can't see any reason why you should even give up $2,000. Now, if you're on the selling end and you're asking for $2,000, can you see the resistance you're going to get? Oh, I know why Jack's doing it. Why do you think? He's had too many people jerk him around. That's why he's doing it. He figures the least I'm going to do is get my $2,000 one way or another. I don't blame him, do you? And if he's getting it, God bless him. Just ain't getting it from me, that's all. I don't blame him. So the least he's going to get is $2,000 if he gets jerked around. That's not a bad deal he's got going there. He's making money by not selling houses. I don't have a problem with that one. So, if you get the right answer, now you got to meet him and get a contract signed, don't you? Well, that's scary too, isn't it? If I've got an office, they're coming to me. If I don't, I'll meet them at one of my branch offices, McDonald's, Wendy's, Burger King, one of those. They're all over the place. Man, I bet I've done $10 million worth of deals at McDonald's, Hardee's, Wendy's, and Denny's. All right, let's fill out one to sell this thing. We bought it, now we're selling it. Now we're going to fill this out before we meet the buyer, right? We're not going to get out there in Wendy's and fumble around and show them how little we know. Okay, we're going to fill it out before we meet them. We're going to have it all ready to go. And we're going to have a copy of it with us so that we can leave them one. Pretty simple one to fill out. What goes under buyer? Old Ivan. What goes under seller? Us, meaning who? You going to buy these in your own name? How you going to buy them? Buy them in a corporation or in your land trust. If you're going to do these quick flippers, I don't really care which. Prefer you buy them in a land trust. Not in your own name. What kind of deposit are you going to get? How much? You think you're going to get $1,000 to sell a house for $40,000? $2,000? Didn't we just go through that? 5%? You sound like a realtor. You're going to get at least $500. That's what you're going to get, and I'm telling you, you're going to have a hard time getting more. And you could very well blow the deal when you start asking for. Wouldn't it make you wonder what's up? Somebody starts asking you for a big old pile of money up front. This guy trying to take my money, does he really even own this house? I'll tell you right now, you're better off just getting you $500, because didn't this man, before you even take his money, or woman, tell you they're ready to close right now?
Right.
That's more important to me than getting the $500. All right, what else? What goes in 1C? 39.5. All right. And what you going to check under closing costs for a buyer? Now, you're a seller. Aren't you going to pay anything? Attorney's fees. Okay, if there is attorney involved. I mean, wouldn't you at least pay the recording? I mean, no? Okay. All right. Well, I'll just check it all under the buyer then. Whatever you can get away with. Time to close. Where are you going to put that?
30 days.
Top of the back. 10 days after acceptance. It says right there, 10 days. Scratch out 6. Thank you. No prorations. Scratch out 9. No wood-destroying organism reports. Wouldn't hurt to initial it. But, frankly, if I scratched it out, well, it wouldn't hurt to initial that. Probably a good idea. 10 days on the top of the back. Remember, I'm giving 30 days to buy it. I'm not giving up 30 to sell it. I'm giving up 10 or 15. 10 days after date of acceptance. Okay, occupancy? Vacant. So what else do I need to put in this thing? As is, no warranties. You got it. What if they say, well, I need to get this appraised first? What do you say? Next. Come on, Robin, you ain't that brutal. Oh, yeah? What do you say? You say, well, you can get it appraised, but I'm not going to take it off the market while you're doing it, and it won't be around when you get it appraised, but at least you'll know what it's worth, huh? Nope, you do not let them jerk you around. You do not put any contingencies in there. You do not let them do anything. If they're not serious enough to give you a deposit and tell you they're going to close, then they're not ready to go to contract. Now that you feel that way, do you think others feel that way about you? You bet. And so act like professionals. Don't ask for a bunch of garbage in your contracts. Leave out your contingencies. When you're dealing with realtors, know you're going to put up a few $100 deposit and act like you really know what you're doing and you're serious. And you'll get a lot more deals done. If you go asking for a great big old deposit, you're going to blow off most of your buyers. But if you ask for too small a deposit, that's all the security you got. That's why I'm not going to give them more than 10 days to close. What happens if my first buyer goes away? I'll call my buyers list and I'll get another one. What happens if I get to the end of my 30 days and I can't close? I get out the pistol, I put a bullet in it, I put it in my ear, and I keep pulling the chamber until it's over. If I got a contract from an individual that says I got 30 days to close and the 30 days goes by, what do? I need another 30 days. Thank you. That's all. If I got a contract through a realtor that's an institutionally owned property, what do? I call a realtor up and say, give me an extension. But in your mind, all this stuff you worry about will stop you from even making the offer, and in reality, none of it matters. Worst case scenario, I can't get an extension, I lose my deposit. They can't make me buy. And in fact, that contract says they can't even sue me. They can just take my deposit. And you know what? So does most of the rest of them around the country now. That's all they can do. And that's only if I'm wholesaling. And isn't that all assuming that I have no way to raise the money to buy it if worst case and I wanted to get it done? Well, we aren't through yet. We're going to learn how to do that before we leave here. Okay. Now I get a contract to buy. Now what? What do I do now? I simply fax the contract I have to buy it and the contract I have to sell it to my closing agent. Right now, all I got is 2 pieces of paper, front and back. One to buy and one to sell. Put them in the fax machine. Pick up the phone. Set me up a closing time and date, will you? And here's my buyer's phone number. Call them and give them all the numbers, will you? I'll meet you there. Now remember, I'm selling this house for all cash. Is this like selling one of them where my buyer's got to go out and get financing and do all that junk and get insurance and all that crap? No. Do I need to make sure my buyer has insurance before they come to closing? No. I don't care if they're insured or not. I don't care if it burns down the day after they buy it. They're paying me cash for it. It's their problem. They can do whatever they darn well please as long as they bring certified funds to the closing table for enough to cover their purchase price. See, that's the beauty of wholesaling. I don't have to do all that babysitting of people. I've got no more expenses other than my earnest money deposit and maybe a title search. Now, I get a contract to buy, I fax them down there, we set up a closing time. Before that closing time comes, you need to have your closing agent let you look at both closing statements. Have them fax them to you. And then you just look on there and see if there's any unpleasant surprises you weren't counting on, and if in fact they understood who's paying what closing costs and the like. Really, the only thing you really need to even look at or care about is when you're selling it down there at the bottom, check to seller. If that number's right, the heck with the rest of it. That's true. I got a closing package up in my briefcase right now. I closed the house while I was here. That's the very first thing I looked at. Check the seller. Yep. I didn't even care about the rest of it said. Isn't that right, Robin? Yep. If that check the seller is in the right amount, the heck with it. If they screwed up, who cares? My check's right. Well, this is the conversation you need to have with your closing agent and make them understand. I'm not paying for title insurance to buy it for 5 minutes. I expect you to create a package for me to buy and a package for me to sell, and I expect you to charge my buyer title insurance. And now if you want to create a little fee for me in the middle, that's okay. I don't mind that. The attorney will charge you a little higher fee for 2 closings than he does for 1, but he will not charge you times 2. First of all, any attorney that wants to charge me 2 totally separate fees, I'm not going to close with him more than once. And we're going to have a conversation. This ain't going to happen. You want me to bring you to business? You got to get real here. But if I pass that attorney's fee on to my buyer, my attorney is supposed to be representing my buyer. Is that really what I want? No. I would rather negotiate a reasonable attorney's fee and pay it than have my buyer paying it.
That covers the entire closing.
Yeah. Yeah, he only needs to charge 1 fee. And I don't think you have a problem with that. Especially if he thinks you're going to bring him some business. Now remember, if it's a title company, you're only paying for title insurance, and you're only going to pay for 1 policy. And you're not paying for any policy. Your buyer's paying for it.
So the buyer should know, and in that case, we'll never really know what's paid for.
The buyer, it's a very good point. I show up for closing, and my buyer gets his package. All he sees is he's paying $40,000. It's none of his business what I just paid, nor even if I just bought it. He may not even know I just bought it 5 minutes ago. Not that I care, but if he does, he will not see my package. What if he says, well, what'd you pay? Less than you. Less than you. The less your buyer knows about your business, the better off you are. That's why I don't like assignment of contracts. Because the buyer knows exactly what I just paid. Now, when I'm buying a junker, could I check on there that the seller's paying title insurance? Huh? And then when I'm selling the property, can I check on the buyer's paying title insurance? Could I literally have them create 2 policies and collect twice if I wanted to? I'm going to tell you what, if I do, I'm going to look at that closing agent and say, you owe me, Bubba. You just remember, next time I ask you for a favor, you owe me. Because you just collected on 2 of them, and you know darn well. Yeah. You owe me. So next time you have to charge me, you're going to charge me the bare minimum. And, that is real life. Okay. If you put the contract on your own name, that doesn't mean you got to go close in your own name. You see, that contract doesn't say you cannot assign it, does it? Does it? Nope, it does not. So therefore, I can assign it to my trust if I want to. Frankly, I don't assign it to my trust. I just tell the closing agent to close in the name of my trust. And then my trustee signs it when I'm selling it. Now, I'm not getting into this land trust stuff right now. Don't even start. So I show up the day of the closing. Now, there's several things that can happen here. If my seller is coming and selling to me, and I didn't send the package out of town, if I send a package out of town, the title company's already done that and got it back before we close. You understand that? They've sent it out, got it signed, then we set up the closing. Or we set up the closing 3 or 4 days out, and they send it out and they got it signed and it's back. They send it FedEx and it'll come back signed up. If there's a bank involved or some kind of institution, same thing happens. Banks don't come to closing when they sell houses. They sign the packages and they send them. And if that's the case, there's no one there but the buyer and I and the closing agent. If there is a seller involved and they got to come to closing, you just have them come in first, sign everything up, and you tell the title company or the attorney to instruct them that they're coming in for a dry closing. Meaning, they're not going to get any money right then. And frankly, if I were a title company or attorney and I did a closing, there's no way I'd give them a check right then. I'd want to go down and check the title to make sure that there aren't any weird problems coming in the last minute. In other words, I want to make sure they didn't sell this property 4 hours earlier and somebody recorded a deed ahead of mine. Or a lien didn't come against them in the last minute. Because if it did, I'm responsible for it as the title agent or the title company. So it's customary for a title company or attorney to go down and do a final check down. And all they do is check back from the last few days and then release funds. And it's not hard for a seller to understand that. So it's up to the title company or the attorney to tell them, you're going to come and close at 2 o'clock, I'll release the money to you tomorrow morning at 9 or this afternoon at 5. Now, I'm not even telling you the title company is going to go do that, because believe it or not, most of them don't. They'll close and give them the check right there on the spot and take their chances. But in this case, if my seller's coming in, do I want my buyer right there at the same time? Well, you don't. I could care less. I could care less. I have my seller come in, then I'll bring the buyer in. I'll seller wait out in the lobby. When the buyer signs and brings in the check, we'll give him a check. How long does it take to close this sale to my buyer? 10, 15 minutes. If it takes 10, 15 minutes, that means we were sitting there and they're shooting the breeze about worthless crap for 12 of them. Because all they got to sign is the closing statement and whatever documents they need to comply with the federal and state law, and they're out of there. They sign a closing statement, which they probably already looked at before they even got there. They sign it, they hand them the check, they get a copy, they're out. It's a 5-minute closing. It's over. And so I got my seller sitting out there. Now the title company just takes them, and they should have the checks already prepared before everybody even arrives. And if they don't, they sit there and prepare them. They just go, hand them a check. There you go. Thank you. But if that scares you, because you're afraid the buyer and the seller will get to talking, aren't you? Well, what if they do? Is the seller going to tell the buyer what he's selling the house for? Is the buyer even going to ask the seller? Not likely. But what if they do? Do I have a contract to buy? Did the seller come there to get money? Are they going to get money? Are they going to get any more money if the buyer knows if they know what the buyer's paying, or if they find out that I'm actually making a profit here? No. Have I got them the minute they sign the contract anyway? Yes. Folks, I have never, ever, ever had a deal fall apart because buyer and seller were at the closing in the building at the same time. And even if they do see each other, they don't know who each other are. And even if they know, I'm telling you, I don't care. I've intentionally put them all in the same room a couple times just to see what would happen. I did. I intentionally did it. I'm playing with it. I really was. I was just cocky, full of myself. So I'm going to put them all in the same room. We're going to sign it up. We're going to pass it over there and sign it up to him. See what happens. Not a thing happened. Not a thing. Sellers just looked. In fact, I think they were half dazed anyway. And what were they thinking about? All they were thinking about was they were ready to leave with that money that they came there to get. Didn't even care. So you guys are worrying about a lot of stuff that really is not necessary for you to worry about. Simultaneous closing. You get a copy of both packages and you get a check for the difference and you go home a screaming and a hollering. Isn't that right? Is that the way your first one was? How much money you make on the first one? I know, I remember my first deal. I'm going to tell you, I'll never forget it. I only made $3,002 on my first little wholesale deal, and I immediately called my boss, told him to shove it. Does Murphy live where you live? This is where I live too. Okay? Things always going to go wrong. We're always going to have problems to solve. All right. Again, you could be asking too much. Lower it. And if you made a mistake and offered too much, you can either back out or go lower your purchase price. Or it's in a war zone. Not much you can do about that. You can go lower your purchase price, keep on trying to sell it, or back out. Folks, I don't have a magic wand. Next time you learn more and you do it better and easier. Or it's in such a serious rehab it scares even seasonal investors away. Is that possible? Major rehabs will scare some investors away. But if you got a major rehab and you're asking a cheap enough price, I promise you there's somebody there would love to have that property. Many times they're contractors. And many times they feel like they're going to do the work themselves, but you still got to price it right. The uglier the house, the better your deal, but sometimes they're so ugly they scare your unseasoned investors away, and sometimes even your seasoned. And I'll tell you one thing that really scares them is rotten, big time rotten roofs. I mean, lot of rotten wood. They don't scare me a bit, because I've done too many of them. I mean, they're just boards. In my case, they're just checks. They don't bother me a bit. I've literally decapitated houses and started over, beams and all. It's just wood. You think about it, it's just wood. It's just 2x6s, plywood, and shingles. That's all it is. Sounds scary though, doesn't it? Or no one calls from the ad you placed. If you run my ad, they'll call. Now, unless you got the wrong phone number in it. The next day, you got to check the ad. Always check the ad. Make sure it's in there. Make sure the phone number. If it's not, get on the phone. Tell them you want to make good. They'll run it again the next day, and they'll give you an extra day for it. You got the right ad in there, and no one's calling? Do you have it in the right section? Put it in the investment property section. If I'm using an answering service, you need to call it at least once a day. And pretend like you're the client that's calling. You're going to have to work with them for a while to get them. You know what the biggest problem with answering service are? Put people on hold. Putting people on hold is death. Death. So when you do an answering service, you set them up, you say, listen, I'm going to check you every day, and if you put people on hold, this ain't going to work. So you tell me right now, I'm running ads to try these people in here, I cannot have them on hold. And then they will tell you, nope, we don't do that. They're lying. You got to check it. And if you check it, you need to get the name and phone number, evening and day of the boss. And their mobile. And then when you call in and they screwed it up and they put you on hold, you get on the phone with it right then. I just call, put me on hold, 10 minutes. Fix it. And they will. Or you don't. You get rid of them. Get another one. Now, you don't have to use an answering service. I'll tell you right now, you got some very sophisticated voicemail systems out there right now, and they have a lot of pluses on their side. Number one, you don't ever get put on hold. Number two, you don't ever get a Popeye's chicken graduate answering the telephone. You don't. Why? Because it's your voice. Well, that's scary. Or maybe it's not. Maybe it's the answering companies we got now, the answering services we're using, they can do the scripts for you, they do the whole works. There's a lot of merit in a voicemail box system, if it's done right. And you might want to think about that. At least it's on duty 24 hours a day, and at least they're never going to get put on hold, and the caller can sift and sort themselves. In fact, think about this. Here's the incoming call. Here, you can just picture it. Hi, thanks for calling the real estate hotline. I'm glad you called about the junkers I advertised in the paper. If you want the address of the property, press 1. They go to 1. You give them the address. If you want to know the price of the property, press 2. Or you can just give them that with the address, can't you? The property is $30,000. It's over at 1233 Maple Street. It's ugly. I think you'll like it. I'm serious. It's ugly. I think you'll like it. Our estimate is that it's worth about $70,000, and our asking price is $35,000, and it needs somewhere around the neighborhood of $10,000 in repairs, would be my guess. If you're interested in us calling you when we get another property like this, press 2. Now, any sophisticated voicemail system right now will keep a report of what they press. So don't you know, the report will show they said yes. What's the next question? If you want to buy anywhere in town where we get a deal like this, press 3. If you want just in the area this property's in, press 2. Oh, if you can come up with money and close quickly, within 10 days, press 1. If you need more than 10 days to close, press 2. Now, which ones am I going to call back? Number 1. Now, when I get my reports, the first thing my eyeballs are going to do is scan for the ones. Yeah, you can't close in 10 days, hang up, she says. No, that won't work. Okay? So, they have sifted and sorted themselves. And now when I get the report, I know who my players are, based on what they told me. While I'm out doing what? Making offers, of course. And checking out real estate. Yeah. All right. What else can go wrong? You're offering a multi-family unit and you can't get any interest. Well, I'll tell you, that depends on where you live. Robin does a lot of multis, don't you? 2 units, 3 units? That's all he asked for? Well, not where I live. Where I live, man, duplexes are miserable to get rid of. For some reason, houses, it's houses. But if you got a big market in multis, why not go out there and grab all of them? Now, multi means less than 4, folks. Over 4 is a totally different ball game. Over 4 units. Different financing, different rules. Over 4, it's commercial property. Ugly. Gets ugly. So it's 4 units or less. That's multi-family. And, I mean, that's not multi, but, well, it is multi. That's what you need to be picking on, though, in this business. You know what? It takes you almost less time to do it than it did for me to tell you about it. In reality, how long should it take you to do this? Well, doesn't it have a lot to do with when you start? Let's assuming we start Tuesday. Start Tuesday. What are you going to do first?
Locate.
Right there. Locate prospects. You're going to drive around, find some ugly houses. You're going to pile them up. You're going to track down the owners of the realtors. You're going to start making offers. How long is that going to be? If you're dealing with listed properties and you've got this pile in your hands Tuesday, when would you be making offers on the listed ones? Wednesday, Thursday at the latest. Now, if I'm making some offers, and I got a pile and I'm making some offers, when am I going to get some answers? Friday, Monday at the latest. So when am I going to get my first deal accepted? I don't know. When are you going to make your first offer? And then if it fails, when are you going to make your second? And if it fails, when are you going to make your third? Oh my goodness, what if I'm making 10 offers at one time? What if they all get accepted? We paid too much if they all got accepted. What do you think the chances of them all getting accepted are? 0. Nothing. No way they're all going to get accepted. Nothing. No way. So, are you going to make 10 of them all at one time?
You can.
That's scary, isn't it? Well, what about all them deposits I got to put up with them realtors? Well, you can put one if you're dealing with one realtor. But if I'm dealing with 5 or 6 different realtors on 5 or 6 different properties, I'm looking at 5 or 6 different deposits. Aren't I? So you got a choice. You can play them out one at a time, or you can just put up the deposit. No, you don't have, you're not costing anything unless you get the deal. They're going to give you the deposit back. You don't. And the truth is, and here's how I like to see you work it. I tell the realtor, I'll give you a deposit upon return of accepted agreement. And many of them are happy with that. And many of them aren't. And now I don't even have to write a check until I get the contract signed. You see, if they don't put it in their escrow account, they don't have to give it back to me, and they don't have to account for it. It's easy on them. Now, they got to believe you're going to buy. Now, the minute that thing's signed, they're going to want to check, aren't they? And so, is that good or bad? In fact, at that point, will you find a way to come up with 4 or 5 checks for $500? Yes, you will. You absolutely, because you're only days away now from checks for thousands of dollars. See, before you got here, this was just a myth. But it's not a myth anymore. This is real bona fide business. And it works. By the way, HUDs and VAs are pretty much a waste of your time. Now, in some areas you can still buy them. But if you do, they need to be bad ugly. Won't hurt you to keep an eye on them. But you are not going to pay any more for a HUD or a VA house than you are for any other house. On a VA house, if you don't pay the asking price, you don't get it. So if you know the asking price is more than you'll pay, why even bother? On a HUD house, you can buy it for a little less, maybe 15% less than the asking sometimes. If you're not willing to buy it for 15% less than the asking, why bother? But sometimes the brokers screw up and they get it way down there to a low asking price. And I gave up on HUDs 3 years ago. I used to buy a ton of them too. But they changed the rules on us and they just forget them. Okay. I'll let Rick come up and tell you what he's been through and some of the pre-screening process that he's done. And Rick, why don't you tell them what you do when you're not working up here?
So far this year, I have purchased, as of last Thursday, it makes 13 houses. And that's just strictly part-time, strictly give me the deed. I don't do lease options to any great degree now. If they're not interested in giving me a deed, I don't, call me back when you are.
And so, how many did you do last year, do you know?
25 last year.
Okay. And I remember looking at a chart that you gave me that you created about $500,000 worth of cash and equities in those 25 last year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, let's get on these houses.
Okay.
Tell us what you got. First, give us your realtor saga.
Okay, Okay, I'll tell you the saga of the realtor to start with. Typically, we try to get some advance notice of who we're going to be using, let them go out, pull listings, pull agreements, send them down to the office, we preview them back and forth, and settle on some good houses that basically somebody just comes in and verifies to make sure they're good prospects. Unfortunately, the people that we had been dealing with were not as, I'm not going to say didn't work out. I'll just say, let's just say didn't work out. So, in essence, out of the 13 or 14 properties that they have sent me, we're going to be looking at 2. The rest of them were pulled once I got into town, and based on some alternative realtor contacts and going out and actually looking at houses and picking and choosing some other ones once we got out in the field. So we've got about 9, 10 good prospects that I've already pre-screened. They're ugly houses. They will be able to be gotten into. We had some other ones that were real ugly that the initial realtor scratched off the list as late as 3 o'clock this afternoon. Oh, no, we could never get in those, so I'm sorry, we're not going to be able to take a look at them. So we still have 9 or 10 good prospects to take a look at, but...
Well, we don't have to get in them to make offers on them, though, do we?
Not at all. Not at all.
Isn't that real life? In real life, you walk around looking in the windows and make offers on the houses. Where does it say you got to get in them? Hey, if you know the ARV, and you know the repairs are 10, 15, or 20, can you look at the house and decide from the outside? Let's see, it looks like a 10 or a 15 or a 20er. You got your mayo, you know what you're going to offer based on what you see. No, it's a little bit more sophisticated than that one. You at least look at the house or the picture first. In your case, you're going to see the house, you're going to pull right up to it, you're going to see the neighborhood, you'll know what you're dealing with. I want you to really get the feel. I want you to really think about it that way. So you had a last minute scuttle here, which when you're dealing with realtors, you better be prepared to do some things different than you planned on.
Unfortunately, I got one of the 95, 97% that was basically clueless. Had a good idea of what she thought we wanted, but it was just not what we needed.
So we did what I told you not to do this morning. We tried to find a realtor and back them into ugly houses instead of finding the ugly houses and backing into realtor.
Correct.
Of course, we had to do it from a distance. You get the luxury of being in the city where the properties are. All right, so we got some properties.
Got some properties.
Tell us about the junk here we got.
And these things are like cockroaches. Anytime you see one, or you go out to find a listing, then you're going to see 3 or 4 other ones once you get out there. That's my cockroach theory.
See, cockroach theory.
Very visual.
Okay. First of all, why did you pick them?
That's what I'm going to go over.
Okay.
What we had was the realtor to pull vacant. In the description, it would have some kind of term that would denote something that would be of interest to us, such as bank owned, such as foreclosure, such as handyman special, or needs TLC, or sold as is. Any of these key words in the remarks section that lets us know that it's an ugly house. What we also look for is houses that are priced a fairly substantial amount below what the market value of a repaired house would be.
The spread, folks, the spread.
Exactly.
The number one selection criteria.
Correct. So all of these houses are listed below what the market value of the after repaired value would be.
And
how'd
you determine the ARV?
The way we determine the ARV is to pull the list of properties that had been sold in those neighborhoods. We found out what the top market values were, which would constitute the after repair value for the neighborhoods, and then we came in with some that were substantially below that.
Okay? So you found the prospects based on the comments.
Correct.
All that stuff that's in the print, in the middle of the printout. Frankly, all over the country, these MLS printouts are arranged a little bit different, but they all got the same stuff in them.
Same stuff.
They all got comments in them about the condition of the house or directions of the house, so the realtor gets a chance to put a paragraph in there, and that paragraph is what prompted them to pull it out of the computer. But now let me let you crack the code here. Now you want to know how to crack the code to find out how to pull one out quickly? Let's say you're in the neighborhood where you want to be and you find out that the houses in good condition are running around $80 a foot in that neighborhood. They're selling for about $80 a foot. Capiche? And you're going to find that they're all selling about the same dollars per square foot per neighborhood.
Give or take.
If one in that neighborhood sold for 80 a foot in good condition, the rest of them are going to be right darn close. All right? All you do is tell a realtor to search for anything in that neighborhood that is on the market for, say, less than $50 a foot.
You just build your discount right off the bat.
You just automatically put in the ones with the spread.
The trick is finding a realtor that knows how to get the computer to give those results.
Which isn't that difficult when you're doing it by the foot like that. Now, automatically anything it prints out is going to have some kind of a problem. Automatically the spread's going to be there with or without the comments in the middle. Mm-hmm. Whether the printout is there or not, the square footage very well may be in the computer. It has to be in the database. You bet it has to be somewhere in there. And even if it isn't, I'll bet you there's a way to get this thing to pull it up. You let the realtors figure that out.
Right.
But if not, you're just going to have to go back and pull it up by comments. You can put in these nasty words and print out everything with those nasty words in it.
So
yes.
Search engine.
Map merge. Yeah, your square footage is on your tax rolls. For sure. And I've never seen, in fact, all MLSs have got sales per square foot. Dollars per square foot that they sold. In fact, if they didn't, they couldn't do comps. They couldn't. When they print out the comps, they go high, low, and average. There has to be some kind of computer logistic logarithm formula to do that.
Now, I will say this. When I pull up comps at home, typically I will go both with the MLS and with the tax rolls. Let the tax rolls pull it up. The tax rolls will absolutely have it on there.
Yes.
The MLS may not, for lawsuit reasons, have it in their information, but the tax rolls will absolutely have it in theirs.
And the MLS may be a lot less accurate.
That is because you got doofus realtors doing the input.
All right. Anyway, let me read you some of these words in the middle here. This one says, I like this one. this one. Super corporate value. Inspect, compare, and price for area. Sold strictly as is. No termite. Sweat equity equal future value. Oh, isn't that cute? Spacious bungalow in need of repairs to roof, windows, carpet, paint, an ideal family area, light, bright, and open. That means it's got a hole in the roof. Now, that was sold, isn't it?
Yeah, that one is sold. That's one of the comps.
Oh,
Now
okay, that's comp.
that
All right.
lasted 10 days on the market.
Yeah.
Okay, the listing. Let's see.
Let me make a point while you're doing that.
Okay.
In the middle, you'll find the paragraph with the words in it. Any MLS system in the country, you can, if you know how to manipulate things. If you don't, you can call the MLS and they'll tell you. You can print out nothing but the middle paragraph.
Sure.
Now you got 10 or 12 of them on a page, and it's got the MLS number on it. You just read middle paragraphs. Instead of printing out this whole thing, taking forever, just print out the middle paragraphs, pick out the ones you like, check them off, and then go pull out the whole page. You have to be a realtor to have access to MLS, of course. So aren't you making offers through realtors anyway? So they have the access. You just tell them what you're looking for. Now, this is assuming you've already backed into a realtor and got someone that lists junkers. Let me tell you just as simple. If someone lists junkers, they know how to find junkers. It could be that they know more about how to get this stuff out of there than you do. Maybe we should let them tell us. Go find us some junkers. Find us some with a lot of spread in them and make sure they're ugly. They'll do it if they're in the ugly house business. All right.
Okay.
Give us some spreads.
Some spreads.
I want to see, this is one time when big spreads are good.
We've got a house on West Ontario Avenue. The comments, it's, let's see.
Got a war zone?
No, it's not a war zone.
Okay.
Corporate foreclosure. After repaired appraisal, $200,000 in hot West End area. 10-foot ceilings, formal living, dining room, blah, 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 blah. Listed at $114,900.
Ooh.
Is that a spread?
That'll work.
Well, okay.
Okay, is that an A pile or a B pile? That's an A pile. That's a get in your car, put it in drive, slam on the gas pedal, skid marks, get out to the car, make an offer, because it won't be around long, will it? Now, is this really, really ugly? You seen this house?
Yeah, to the best of my... Yes, it's got good up there. So yes, we did see it.
Okay, all right. After repair value of $200, we'll make that decision, or you guys will make it tomorrow when you see it. Won't you? It's got the comps. 114. How many days has it been on the market? Is that anywhere in my book? Do I care? It does not have any effect on whether I'm going to go out and see it or not. Let me see. I got a house here that says it appraised for $200, which is probably a bunch of crap. But they're asking $114. Is there a lot of room for crap there? Is this one I need to go look at regardless? Correct.
Got it. Yeah, that's the top of the list so far. Got another one on Hunter Place. This is fixer-upper in Washington Park area. Large multi-million-dollar redevelopment planned. Quick access to downtown. It is listed at 46. The comps show 72.
Take them up to your room tonight and put an R on them so we don't have to work
72, 79, something along those lines. So somewhere in the
A pile or B pile?
70s.
A or B? Who says A? Who says B? It's listed for 46 and it's worth in the high 70s. What do you guys want?
Thank you, Ron.
It's an A. It's an A plus. Are we going to pay 46? Not in this millennium. Go ahead.
Here's another one on Sim Street.
Arv.
Arv is. I've got it on quite a few of them. Arv is in the
60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
70s.
70s. Asking price?
Asking price is probably mid-70s. Asking price $34,900. Attention investors. Blah, blah, blah. Motivated agent and owner. They don't pull any punches, Ron.
Agent needs money fast.
Has car payment coming up.
How many bedrooms and baths is that?
That one is 4 bedrooms.
I can imagine what that
One
baby
bath.
looks like. 4-1?
4-1. 4-1. 1,400 or so square feet.
Okay. It's 4-1 now. 1,400 square feet, that's all I need to know.
Next one is on Bonnie Bray Avenue.
R.
R is 70s.
Asking.
Mid 70s. Asking 59.
A or B?
Well,
Boy, you spoiled fast. Mid-70s asking 59. Does that mean we're going to pay 59? No, is it a sure one we ought to take a look at? Now, would I drive clear across town to look at it? No, but I would certainly put it in my look at pile. Okay.
bank foreclosure.
Oh, it's a bank foreclosure.
So strictly as is.
Absolutely.
Excellent opportunity for bargain hunter. Seller requests serious offer, please. That means
What month are we in?
October. What is year end coming up?
It's clean house for banks time of the year. Yes, it is. If it's bank owned now and it's listed anywhere near below market value, it's worth looking at. If it's ugly. If it's pretty, it's a waste of your time. All right, next.
This one is on
Don't worry about where it's at. What's the ARV?
the ARV appears to be high 70s.
What's he asking?
Asking 68. Huh?
Bank owned?
Yep.
Okay. What's bank owned tell you? Tells you it's free and clear, doesn't it? Also tells you it's vacant. Also tells you they gotta sell it. They don't have an option.
Four
Doesn't it?
4 bedrooms, 2 baths.
They're not emotionally attached either, are they? 4-2. All right.
Got
Next.
Next is Beecher Street.
ARV.
ARV is looks like in the 85,
Asking.
48.
Can you guys see that some of these houses you're going to be looking at, they're actually asking below Mayo? If you don't buy the house that their asking price is below Mayo, it's because you snoozed and you lost or somebody beat you to it anyway. I mean, these are no-brainers, folks. When you got those kind of spreads, it's not hard to buy houses. It's just not hard at all. However, now, if you spend all your time looking at $70,000 askings opposed to $75,000 values, you might have a little bit more trouble. Take the time to pre-select the best candidates and don't spend your time driving around your city wasting gasoline. There's no chance I can go out and look at 10 properties like that and not buy 2 or 3 of them.
Not only that, but keep in mind when we're going out to these properties and we use our cockroach theory of driving back and forth up and down the street for 10, 15 minutes once you get to the one you're looking for, I can promise you this list will triple. You are going to add at least 2 additional houses to make offers on for every one that you go out there and look at.
Amen. In fact, can you take your cellular phone with you and call a realtor on this listing right there while you're moving around? Yeah. In fact, if you take your cellular phone and say, hey, I'm looking at the house on Maple Street. What's the asking price on it? She tells you, and it's ugly. You say, listen, if I put that property in excellent condition, what would you sell it for? She tells you. You got enough information to make an offer? Oh, well, what if you can't get in? Well, you're right there looking at the dumb thing. Get out of the car and go look in the windows.
She'll meet you out there with a key.
It only needs 10 or 15 or 20. Make your offer right on the, tell her to meet you. Make your offer right on the spot. Well, you could do all that stuff if you weren't tied up with that doofus job, but you guys probably won't have time to do it. All right, let's go into some common questions from wholesalers. How do I get inside of vacant houses to inspect? Well, you either, in most cases, you don't. If you don't, you look in the windows. If you can't get enough facts there, you're just going to have to get the realtor to let you in. Of course, if you're licensed, you can get a key of your own, can't you? That's one argument for getting a license. I would not do it just for that. However, I did it just for that. One time I went out and got a license just so I can get that key, get in all the lock boxes, and then so I could get access to the MLS. The truth is, you can get access to the MLS through your realtor. You shouldn't be doing that computer crap anyway. They should be doing it. You should be making offers. If you can't get into the house, you'll find that you can look in and see what you need to see. If that's not the case, then you're just going to have to get the agent to let you in or do business without getting in, one of the two. What if I'm wrong on repairs? If you're so far off, the estimate kills the deal, you offered too much. Just that simple. If you're that far wrong, you offered too much. I've been as far as 50% off on repairs. And it just didn't matter. It just didn't matter. How do I know the agents won't steal my deal? I get that one all the time. Well, you don't. But it's rare. And folks, you got to know that agents are licensed individuals. If they steal your deal, they're usually violating, if not violating their code of ethics, they're violating their fiduciary relationship. And the truth is, most agents don't want your deal. Most agents wouldn't know what to do with it if they had it. And the ones that know what to do with it don't want it because they're scared of it. If they knew what you know, they wouldn't be doing this for a commission. Don't worry about them. If you lose a deal once in a while, chalk it up to experience, get rid of the agent, quit crying over spilt milk, and go milk another cow. It's only a deal. There's a bunch of them out there. Will I need a deposit for every offer? I've covered that. The answer is no. You'll put one deposit in escrow, or you'll put on the contract, the deposit is due upon return of accepted agreement. Should I assign my contract to my buyer? Do I simultaneous closing? We've covered that. You'll assign it in cases where you feel comfortable with the buyer knowing what you're making, if it's assignable. If not, you'll do a simultaneous closing where you'll take title, and a few minutes later you'll transfer that title to your new buyer. What happens if I can't close? You lose your deposit and both kneecaps when Guido comes out. Okay? The biggest risk you'll ever have in wholesaling is the size of your earnest money deposit. What if my buyer backs out at the last minute? We talked about that as well. You just go get another buyer and postpone the closing. Here's the most common mistakes that entrepreneurs in the wholesaling business make. Number one, they buy in the wrong area. They buy in the wrong area because buying properties cheap in the war zones is easy. So they'll go into the war zones and they'll pay the same prices in the war zones that they would pay in the decent areas, and then they'll expect the people who want to retail to buy in the war zone. They forget that part of the problem. You've got to stay in an area that's retailable. Now, of course, again, if you buy in the war zones, you can always buy them. If you buy them cheap enough, you can sell them to landlords. They pay too much. You have no idea how many times people call me on the telephone. They say, Ron, I can't get rid of this house. I'll say, why? They say, I don't know. I'll say, what's it worth? They'll tell me. I'll say, what are you buying it for? They'll tell me. I'll say, no wonder you can't get rid of it. You pay too much. You're working on the greater fool theory. Your business is focused on finding somebody dumb enough to pay you that price, and you're going to force them to go to a seminar in the School of Hard Knocks. Even if you sell it, they're going to come back and hate you forever. If you pay too much, don't expect somebody else to pay more. That's one of those two right there are the biggest killers right there. They pay too much and they buy in the wrong area. I'm working with the wrong agents. If you're working with the wrong agent, they'll drag you down, they'll poison your attitude, they'll poison your ambition, and they'll take all the motivation away to go find deals. They'll absolutely convince you this can't be done in your city. And maybe they're right if you keep hanging around with them. Remember this. If that agent is so smart, they'd be doing what you're doing. Worrying too much about repair costs. That seems to cripple a lot of people from making offers. They're worried that they might be $1,000 off, so they don't make the offer until they get the right answers. We've discussed that. That's not an excuse for you not to make an offer. I'd rather you make an offer, make it too high, and lose your deposit, than sit around worrying about repair costs and not making the offer because you're afraid of something, you're going to lose something. You've got to get the offer made. In time, you'll get to be a real expert at estimating repair costs, and I'm going to tell you, it's going to take a fraction of the time you think it is. A fraction. In fact, if you'll let me, I'll take you out in the field and show you how to do it in just a few hours. Letting lack of money stop you from making offers. How many of you are not making offers right now because you don't know where the money's coming from? I'll bet you'll be glad to know that you're not the first ones that I've ever asked that question to that raised their hand. Do you need money to wholesale houses?
Keep saying no.
I keep saying it, but you haven't quite been convinced yet, have you? Do you need your money to wholesale houses? Well, you do, don't you? You got to put up some deposits. We measure those in hundreds, though, don't we?
No.
Not thousands. We measure deposits in hundreds, not thousands. Folks, it doesn't take money to find a bargain and pass it on to a bargain hunter. If you get it sold before you have to close, the buyer brings in the funds. If you don't get it sold before you have to close, you're either going to find alternative ways to fund it or you're not going to buy it. And regardless of what happens, do you need money? No. No. So if you don't need money, then why in the world would that stop you from making offers? Oh, 'cause you're scared. Right? Scared of what? Not pre-qualifying prospects is a big killer. That means when I'm buying houses, if I don't take time to get to the right prospects, do the right things, I'm wasting my time. I'm not going to get anything accomplished. I'm making offers on pretty houses, and I can't understand why I can't buy one at the prices that I'm offering. Again, what kind of houses are we looking for? Ugly! You bet. Not making enough offers. I bought almost 1,000 single-family houses, and I can't remember one single time I bought a house that I didn't first make an offer on. Not one. Not all of them were ugly, no. A lot of them were gorgeous, but I weren't stealing them. Okay? If you don't make enough offers, you will not get anything accepted. There's a direct correlation on how many deals you do as to how many offers you make. You know, it's amazing. Those who make the most offers buy the most houses. Unbelievable. If you don't make the offers, you won't get anything accepted. No follow-up system will not keep you from getting some deals done, but will penalize you because of deals you could have had. And the sorry part about that is you just never know what you lost. So you don't miss it because you didn't follow up. Not building a buyer's list. Oh, I don't know why people don't do that. I don't know why. If you're going to buy a house, if you're going to run the ad, you're going to take the calls, why in the world not take a couple minutes and build a buyer's list? So simple, so easy to eliminate that process the next time. Not learning the rest of the business. There's so much money in the lease options and the owner financing side of the business. You've got to be able to distinguish what model the seller's needs will fall into, and believe me, you will not steal the houses from everybody who calls you. But if you can't do something other than stealing it, you're just missing a huge income stream. We'll go through that in Module 2 and Module 3, lease options and owner financing. Taking advice from unqualified advisors. Oh, this is my pet peeve. I love this one. To whom are you listening? Listening to the wrong people will get you exactly where they want you to be. Broke. Or maybe you think people really want you to make money. Do your peers really want you to succeed? No way. They want you to be right down in the dumpster where they are. Crawling and groveling in the dirt. Just barely getting by. Feeling sorry for yourself all the time. That's where they want you to be because that's where they are. And you know who your absolute worst enemies are? Oh, I hate to tell you. They're real close to you. Your family. May or may not be your spouse. Whether it's your spouse or not, it's usually your family just the same. Brothers, sisters, parents, and sometimes even children. It won't work in their minds because it's something new and it's something different. And people always shy away from something new and something different. If a spouse is your problem, may I suggest that you get your spouse to one of my seminars, and if I can't get them at least working with you mentally, you got a problem.
I don't want to say that. But, I'm not going to act like no marriage counselor here. But I'm telling you right now, there's a never-ending supply of folks who won't do this business or can't do it because their spouse just will not get off their back long enough to let them. Okay? I'm telling you, I have gotten a lot of spouses in the right direction just by coming to sit through. Bring them to a conference, for crying out loud. Bring them to a conference. Or bring them to one of my seminars. That doesn't mean they're going to work with you. But it certainly means that they'll understand what you're doing and they'll get a better feel for it and they'll leave you alone long enough to do it. Now remember, I told you my wife has never worked in this business. My wife don't know the difference between a note and a mortgage. Probably never will, could care less. But she doesn't get in my way. Or I'd have to kill her. The biggest problem is going to come from the other part of your family, the family that shouldn't have an influence on your life but does because you allow them to. They're the hard part. The spouse, usually you can overcome that one. Never take financial advice from anyone who isn't make several times what you make. Who do you take advice from?
Millionaires.
That's the right people. Who do you take advice from? You take advice from your accountant. You know what the average accountant in this country makes? $38,000. Is that who you want to take advice from? Well, how about an attorney? You go to an attorney for financial advice. The average attorney makes $58,000 in this country. Do you really want to take financial advice from somebody who makes $58,000 a year? How about your brother-in-law? That's a good one. If you're going to take financial advice, all I'm saying is take it from people who are qualified to render it, and people who aren't making any more money than you are not qualified. Free advice is almost always worth what it costs. Good advice is almost never free. Okay, let's talk about how to build an automatic pilot business. We're getting close here. All right. There are really only 5 basic things to master in the wholesaling business. And walk this through with me. Once you've conquered them, you can train others with very little effort to do most or all of the work, as I've done. I've trained people to do all of the work. Okay, number 1, pre-screening prospects. My realtors do that for me before they even fax them to me. My realtor. And then I further pre-screen them from my desk by looking at the comment sections, and I only go out and send somebody. I only even send my wife out to look at the best candidates. I don't want her to run around out there for nothing. I pre-screen them, and she goes and looks, or other folks go look for me. Determine the market value. If I don't know the market value in the area, I'll have the realtor fax me some comps, and I'll determine it from that. Can anybody do that? Yeah, with 10 minutes worth of training. Estimating repairs. Remember the sheet for dummies that I told you about? All they got to do is put a check mark under yes or no all the way down the list. Does the house need a roof? Does the house need a kitchen? Da-da-da-da-da-da. If you know the major components, now this is once you've been trained, of course. If you know the major components of what it costs to fix a house, can you just look at the photographs and look at the list and add it up? The answer is yes. Now you may not believe that now, but you will. Making offers and counter offers. Now isn't that what you should be doing? I mean, isn't it? You're the one that controls the purse. You're the one who controls the offer. Your focus should be on controlling the deal and making it work. You should be making the offers, and you should be making the counter offers and letting everybody else do all the rest of this nonsense. What about selling? Do you even need to do that? Can a minimum wage employee pick up the telephone and call your buyer's list? Hello? Can a minimum wage employee pick up the telephone or actually answer the phone and fill out the 4 questions on your prospect collection list that I showed you? For you pre-screen your... Absolutely. You don't need to be doing all that junk, folks. You need to be focusing on creating revenue. Okay. Pick out what only you can do and hire someone to do the rest. One of the hardest lessons that I'll ever learn in life, and probably that you will ever learn in life. What do you mean hire someone? Does that mean you got to pay them? Well, that would be recommended, yes. Yes. People have a tendency to shy away from working for free. At least they do around me. Of course, they do it anyway. But, right, guys? There's several ways to pay them, though, aren't there? I have arrangements where I pay them on a partnership basis. I split the wholesale with them. I've had arrangements where I pay them by the deal. You bring me a deal, and I'll pay you by that deal. I've had arrangements where just pay them a finder's fee, where they just bring in the information and I have to do all the rest or get somebody else to do all the rest. In my wife's case, I just sacrifice all of it. She didn't get that black belt for no reason. Okay, let's see if you can afford to pay somebody. Imagine somebody on your payroll who does nothing all day but bring you hot leads on qualified prospects, runs your errands for her, and mows your lawns and does whatever it takes. What would you have to pay him? $300-400 a week? Huh? Does it matter? What are you paying $500 a week? Well, pretty good, isn't it? For someone to do that? Do they have to be highly skilled to do what I just put up there? Do they have to be highly skilled to go take pictures of houses and fill out a sheet for dummies? Hello? Do they have to be highly skilled to mow lawns? Run errands? Am I looking for highly skilled employees here? No. I'm looking for someone with some common sense and hopefully a car. So I don't care what you pay them. If you pay them, can you pay them $1,500 a month? That's pretty good pay, isn't it? For that kind of a job? You realize you're talking about 1/3 of one little wholesale deal per month, folks? 1/3 of one little wholesale deal per month to pay a full-time employee to do all that grunt work for you. Just don't let them get near me. I'll train them to go do it on their own. I told you, I'm an employer's nightmare. Can you afford not to have someone based on that? You realize if you do one extra deal per month because you had that employee working for you, you'll make enough money to pay him for 3 months based on that? See, we get so hung up in doing all the grunt work and worrying about all the details that we forget what's important. We forget that generating revenue is where our focus should be, and people who can do all that other crap need to be doing it. You need to be focusing on generating revenue. And one of the things that'll keep you from generating revenue is doing your own repairs on houses in cases where repairs need to be done, especially in the retailing business. So the question is, should I do my own repairs and rehabs? The answer is yes. If you're happy making a handyman's wages, and if you want bloody hands, bruised knees, and paint under your fingernails, and if you enjoy spending time, or you don't enjoy spending time with your family, you know, I think I just figured out why some of you do it right there. Honey, I got to go fix the house. Or if you want to get totally turned off with real estate, and by golly, that'll do it, working on houses. Or if you love the smell of paint fumes. Some of you do, I know. In fact, have you ever seen a sober painter? Huh? Oh. Or if you want to stay broke, just keep fixing houses. Or if you don't understand the best use of your time, sure, go ahead and fix houses. Is this business worth your time? Let's see. The average wholesale deal is worth $5,000 to $10,000 in low-priced areas. Using the $5,000 figure, it would take 20 deals per year to yield a $100,000 income. Is that correct? That's 20 a year. You've heard some of these folks stand up here and say they've done that much in 4, 5, 6 months. When properly trained, an investor should get at least one offer accepted for every 10 to 15 presented. Therefore, using 15 offers per deal, a whole year's work would consist of making 300 offers to make $100,000. Is that correct? 20 deals, 15 offers per deal is 300 offers. All right? That's 25 offers per month or 6 per week. And that's assuming you don't get better than 1 out of 15 and that you don't make more than $5,000 per house. Folks, $5,000 is about the minimum that I'd let you do a deal with, wholesale. And I would expect you to get better than 1 out of 15 real quick if you hang around me very long. But just based on those numbers, would making 6, how long do you think it'd take you on Saturday morning to make 6 offers? You're talking about visiting 6 houses in the same general vicinity. Remember, you asked the realtor to pull them all up in the area you gave them, didn't you? Tell you what, why don't we do 12 houses twice a month? Would that work? That gives you 2 Saturdays off. Now, I don't know what you're going to do with the other 28 days. You can go back and get that job. You can go back to work and realize that security. Oh, yeah, and keep your insurance. Yeah. Thank you. You know, we got to concentrate on our priorities here, don't we? Is it worth your time? Perhaps you should be asking yourself, is your job worth your time? Think what would be happening in your life nowadays if you took the same 40 hours you had now and you spent it on yourself doing a fraction of what I've taught you to do here. Let's just assume that half of what I told you was crap. Which it isn't. But let's just say you did half of what I just showed you, and it took 12 offers a week instead of 6. Would you do 12 offers a week for $100,000? You know you would. You have to ask yourself, what do I do now for $100,000? Many of you say, I don't know, because I ain't never had it. Worked 3 years, you say. God. Can you think of it? Just think about it. It's true, isn't it, John? Some of 4 years. You think about that? 3 to 4 years to make the same amount of money that you can make by wholesaling 20 stinking little deals in 1 year, playing golf a good part of your time. I think that I have given you enough information within this course to make you a wholesaling machine. I hope you take that information and I hope you use it. We're here when you need us. We're not going to love you and leave you. We'll be around. Utilize the hotline service that comes with this module. I thank you for listening and good luck.